So guys, the crypto markets have been pumping with the positive news around some of the tariffs with Trump. China not looking too hot with the tariffs and exactly what Trump has done with the reciprocal tariffs. Right now, guys, there has been positive price action in the markets, but a lot of people are anticipating, more deviations before we start to rip up much higher. And I want to walk you guys through the price action that we're currently seeing, indicators you need to be aware of, the sentiment, and then that price action and pretty much where we could be heading. But if you're new to my channel, go ahead and check out the rest of my content. I'm an intermediate trader documenting my journey, showing you guys my wins, my losses, keeping you guys updated on the day-to-day events, price action on Bitcoin, altcoins, how liquidity is shifting, and exactly what you need to be aware of so that you do not shift out of your altcoins and sell out of everything, capitulate your bag, and just feel like that's the end of the crypto markets. Overall, guys, a lot of mixed sentiment with the tariffs going into play, the US markets dumping and pumping, and overall exactly how it's, correlating to the crypto markets as well. Right now, like how I said, we have been seeing some pumps, but I want to walk you through exactly what you need to be aware of and the news events that are taking place. Let's jump into it. So guys, like how I said, we have been seeing some green in the markets today. Bitcoin's currently sitting at around 82,400. Ethereum's currently sitting at around 1655 after yesterday having some crazy deviations to around that 1540 zone. Actually a little bit lower than that. It was really crazy. Altcoins also have been seeing a little bit of green today. And right now, Bitcoin dominance and USDT have pretty much found a new zone where they're kind of testing right now at resistance. But we're going to be seeing exactly what's going to be happening closing out the week, which is super important, guys. Just because we open the week a specific way and even in the middle of the week change narratives doesn't mean that everything could just flip-flop. So you need to be aware of that and what's going on, and keeping up with the price action is going to be super key. But right now, what's going on in the crypto markets? What's the sentiment in the space? There's a ton of fear. People do not, still anticipate altcoin season happening anytime soon, at least not in the next week or so, and as a result, a lot of people are wondering exactly the price action on Bitcoin, Ethereum, when we could be seeing that positive liquidity, and overall exactly how the markets are going to be having an effect and when potentially we could be seeing that relief. And one thing that's super related to all this that's having the effect on the markets is the tariffs that are being thrown out by President Donald Trump of the United States. But today we did get some positive news around exactly a pause. Pretty much Trump, I have authorized a 90-day pause and a substantially lowered reciprocal tariff during this period. But he goes on to talk about exactly China and how he's pretty much putting in the full arm on China, which is really crazy, but it was anticipated, and as a result, a lot of markets are being affected. Based on the lack of respect that China has shown to the world's markets, I am hereby raising the tariff charge to China by the United States of America to 125% effective immediately. At some point, hopefully in the near future, China will realize that the days of ripping off the USA and other countries is no longer sustainable or acceptable. Conversely, and based on the fact that more than 75 countries have called representatives of the United States, including the Departments of Commerce, Treasury, and the USTR, to negotiate a solution to the subject being discussed relative to trade barriers, tariffs, currency manipulation, and non-monetary tariffs, and these countries have not, at my strong suggestion, retaliated in any way, shape, or form against the United States. I have authorized a 90-day pause and a substantially lowered reciprocal tariff during this period of 10%, also effective immediately. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Which is super crazy, guys, because a lot of people were calling him, saying that, this is just a big bluff, but as a result, we're starting to see a lot of negotiations take place, which is bullish in terms of, how the markets are being seen. Even Japan's markets are looking quite nice right now. Overall, though, Kobeissi letter talks about this and pretty much exactly what's happening with Japan's stock market surging with the news of a 90-day tariff delay, and also the fear and greed index jumped up 14 points in one day, but we still remain in extreme fear territory, which, guys, is super beneficial for anybody that's trying to find a position. Altcoins are still down quite significantly, even though a lot of positions are up 20, 15, 30, 40, even 50% today. So it's really important to, you know, keep this in mind and start looking for that positioning so that you can make some decent gains. On top of that, though, everyone's talking about a recession and pretty much how the markets were performing today, which is, you know, positive, which is really great. But at the end of the day, like I said, we need to pretty much see how we're going to be closing out on the week with all of the specific indicators, and just see exactly if everything is still going to be positive. A lot of different mixed sentiments in terms of what's going to be happening, but right now the markets are looking quite green. Crypto Mission now talks about the rationality in the markets can be quite far away at periods. That's why price and portfolio management are key. A drop of 30% in Bitcoin is by definition a good moment to be investigating a potential position, regardless of the noise. So regardless of all this uncertainty in the markets, guys, you should be looking at strong, you know, sectors and strong narratives where you can potentially make a quick 5 to 10x. You know, obviously there are some great coins out there where you can potentially make a 10x, maybe even higher, but this is where you have to start doing some research, diving into the weeds and canceling out all the noise and just starting to look for that opportunity. Crypto Intelligence X talks about exactly the projection with Bitcoin, and his, you know, projection that he had a few weeks ago, and he talks about how we're almost there. He says if Bitcoin pulls back into the 68k 72k range and holds this, this could be a textbook higher low formation, setting the stage for the next leg up. The bullish non-log GP 70k to 72k being the primary target to consider a swing long position. So a lot of people are anticipating specific zones around the price action with Bitcoin and current periods that we have seen previously, and more than likely where we're going to be heading before we start to, you know, rip back up. But this is where, you know, I swipe everything to the side, guys. There's a lot of different perspectives on the market in terms of price action and what is going to be happening. Right now there's a lot of uncertainty due to the tariffs. Right now it's positive because of the pause that has been happening, which is super important. If you aren't aware of the news and you aren't aware of why the markets just turned green all of a sudden, and this is super important to be aware of, because whenever liquidity starts shifting back and whenever, you know, indicators like Bitcoin dominance and USDT dominance are shooting up, you need to be aware of that, because altcoins more likely are going to get squeezed. And if you're an altcoin investor, you need to make sure that you're aware of all these moving parts so that you don't capitulate your bag. But that's why I do that on this YouTube channel. If you're new to the channel, check out the rest of my content. I'm an intermediate trader documenting my journey, showing you guys my wins, my losses, keeping you guys updated on the day-to-day events, price action on Bitcoin, altcoins, how liquidity is shifting, and overall my sentiment after gathering everyone's sentiment and perspectives and price action in the markets. It gets really crazy, guys. There's a whole bunch of noise. You really need to understand mainly liquidity and how liquidity shifts, and mainly, guys, in Bitcoin and Ethereum, because everything's under these assets, mainly Ethereum. That's all the altcoins that we invest in, unless you're investing also in Solana and a few others, which I also do have. But you need to understand how liquidity shifts. From there, understand exactly whenever we start to see these, you know, liquidity shifts, that's whenever, you know, altcoins could potentially start to get that next leg up based off of the sentiment and specific indicators hitting specific percentages and zones. But I plan to keep you guys updated on all that stuff, price action, news events, and pretty much the sentiment and everything you need to be aware of. It can get complicated, but whenever you consolidate everything really concisely and keep up with only a few different things, you can really get ahead in the market. But I'll keep you guys updated on everything you need to be aware of. If you guys have any questions, suggestions, drop them down below. I'd love to hear everyone's perspective on the markets and exactly where you're at in your journey. Do you think altcoins are going to be pumping up? Overall, I am super bullish on altcoins, have been stacking up, and I'd love to hear everyone's portfolio. I'm going to be dropping a full portfolio overview of my portfolio this weekend, just to get into the wins and losses and everything else in between. So make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and stay tuned, guys. I drop daily content every day, so hopefully the markets stay positive. But tomorrow I'll be talking about exactly what's going on. Peace.